those big picture questions that our youth struggle with, and at the same time are looking for answers for, are the areas that the church needs to, one, make a stance as to what we believe, and two, really share that in a loving and caring manner so that everybody understands exactly what we stand for. Again, I'll come back to just my educational experience. When I set high expectations for my kids and high standards for my kids and challenge my kids to go and reach those high expectations and high standards, they do it all the time. You know, do kids fall short of that? Yes, and we partner to make sure that those kids meet those high expectations and high standards. But we communicate that starting from the beginning, and we make sure that there's relationships involved so that they can experience that. You know, if we're not in the conversation, the world is conversing. And the conversations that are happening are not conversations that necessarily represent the faith life. And so I think it's very significant that we talk about who we are who we are, and what, you know, why we've made the choices and decisions that we make. And really, when you get back to it, you know, one of the things I think that coming back to that connected piece is that the youth movement is also a justice piece to it, that they want to make sure that there's justice for all. And you know, Christ modeled that for us, you know, and so how do we share that he modeled justice, and he modeled all of those pieces of how we love one another and take care of each other, and there's nothing more important than loving your neighbor, and at the same time stood for a life of holiness and purity, you know. So I think it's important that we breathe into it. The things that I've seen that I think work, you know, I'm amazed regularly at my high school the number of students that have graduated who come back. And they come back as a natural piece. You know, I'm a Marshfield Ram. It's your home base. It's where you went to high school. I think the same thing is it's where you went to church. But some of the reasons are really the reasons they come back. They come back to see the English teacher that they had that relationship with. They come back to see their principal who they had that relationship with. And the real important part is that the adult, this comes back to that modeling piece, is intentional about making sure that we keep contact. So it's not the youth pastor when the kid graduates from high school that, you know, continues to make contact because that's his job. It's the adult that sang next to the kid on the worship team, or the adult that throughout their time supported them on a mission trip or whatever, who's now saying, I'm so excited to see you and I want you to come back and help me lead. Let me work next to me. Show me how this works. We've talked a lot just at our conference here about the difference between multi-generational and intergenerational, the understanding that we have to connect them to the mission of the church and the vision of the church, and then make sure that that mission and vision is one of evangelism and loving, you know, loving each other. And I think when they find that connectivity, then I think they become, you know, vibrant in it, and then they make the transition into church life. We see so many kids in our church, local churches, you know, that fall away, and then all of a sudden they have family and they come back. And when they come back, you know, why do they come back? Well, they come back because now I need my kid to have some type of structure around them. I need them in children's ministry. I need them in youth ministry. But to get them from A to B without losing them, I think, is an intentional piece on the adult's part to saying, I'm going to partner with him and keep an eye on him. I have my wife and I got married 30 years ago. There was a woman in the church that sends me a birthday card from my wife's home church that we haven't been back to but once in 20 years. Every birthday, I get a card from this lady who's now, you know, 80 or 90 years old. And that one contact from her, I expect that card. You know, and I've talked to her numerous times because of that card to say, you know, thank you for remembering me and thank you for thinking about me when I was 21 or 22 when I, you know, first met her. And, you know, 30 years later, she's continuing that piece. That type of intentionality helps to keep our community of faith together and growing together. So I think that's an important part to it.